What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. Y'all hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if it's your first time viewing this channel. So I want to talk about a marriage that I never really discussed before, but I always thought it was a little strange, or it was kind of odd that these two people found each other, right? And I know sometimes love works in mysterious ways. Sometimes opposites attract. That is a common saying in relationships, but I kind of like scratch my head at what drew these individuals together, right? So Raymond Santana of the Central Park Five, also known as the Exonerated Five, as they like to be called, because they were exonerated for the crime that they were, accused of committing. For those who don't know, Central Park, New York, 5 teenage boys were convicted with the attempted murder, with the assault and the rape of a young white woman in Central Park, New York, right? DNA evidence came out later, years later, and they were found to be not guilty, right? And they were later exonerated. However, in the process of going through these things, they went through a lot of not mental abuse, but yeah, they had their names sullied, drugged through the mud. Their reputations were smeared. It was abuse in jail from what is one of the individuals' name is I have to see what their name. I got to remember what the name was. Corey Wise. Corey Wise went through a lot of abuse and so on and so forth in jail because he was one of the only ones who went to the big prison. Who went because he was of age to go to actual prison and not in the juvenile center, right? But yeah, they went through all type of mental trauma, physical trauma, so on and so forth from this. Anyway, after the Central Park 5 documentary, When They See Us, came out, it put a spotlight on these individuals. The When They See Us documentary, shot or filmed and directed by Ava DuVernay, it put a spotlight on them. People started to know who they were. They found out the story, the intricate details of the story. They started connecting to each individual within the actual docuseries. That's really what it was. And so they got popularity and fame off of it. And shortly after the release of When They See Us, I see Raymond Santana, one of the Central Park 5, one of the 5 teenagers who were convicted. He's not a teenager now, he's a grown man, of course. I see him starting to date Deelishis. Deelishis from Flavor of Love. And I'm like, how is this? What is going on here? It just seems very odd. Previously, years ago, I made a video talking about how Deelishis seemed to be reverting to a childlike stage. Her whole mannerisms, how she carried herself, always laughing and giggling, she seemed to be acting like a teenage girl. And then, I saw her making all these different things to her face. She was doing all these different cosmetic surgeries on her face. She looks completely different than what she looked like when she was on Flavor of Love. And I'm like, oh, she going through a midlife crisis. And I said that in the video. So now I see her with Raymond Santana. I say, man, how did they meet? It just seemed like, it felt like this whole relationship was probably transactional. Now, come to find out, recently Raymond Santana has come out and said, because he filed for divorce from her a year ago. And he felt like she's been on the campaign to sully his name, so on and so forth. And he came out and said, hey, he never cheated on that woman, despite what she's saying. He said he was the one being cheated on, used, manipulated. He said she called the police on him and tried to take him to court because she felt entitled to some of his money, so on and so forth, right? And I don't know whose story is true, but I'm just going on, if this man's story is true, if Deelishis did in fact do these things to him. I saw this and I said, man, and men make mistakes. Everybody make mistakes. Men, women, so on and so forth in dating. But people have to be, I'm going to speak to men right here. We have to be better. We have to use our gift of discernment better. And we can always be tricked and hoodwinked and all of that. It can happen to any one of us, right? But there is something about when you attain a certain amount of money, because he got some money from what happened to him, right? And you attain a certain type of popularity from something that happened in your life. And then a woman comes to try to date you who would never look at you if you are working a regular job, right? Even if he was working in corporate America, this woman probably wouldn't really even look his way like that. And you gotta ask yourself, would this woman really be dating me if I didn't have a certain amount of money, if I didn't have a certain amount of fame? Would she be trying to gain my affection, so on and so forth? You have to ask her. I would ask myself that, regardless of I can have the highest confidence about myself in the world. But in my mind, I try to be realistic about things. Like, man, what is this woman doing with me? What is she, you know what I mean? If Beyonce comes trying to pull up on me, and I'm looking like, what is going on? I can think the world about me. But if I come into a whole lot of bread out of nowhere and goddamn, not Beyonce, but some gorgeous supermodel, Instagram model looking woman come trying to get all up under my arm, and I know I have doubts that she would be with me if I ain't had this bread, I know something is off in this situation. Like I said, man, when I saw them together, it seemed like it could be possibly just it seemed to be a transactional relationship, right? Men gotta stop going for women who really would not like them or date them if they weren't up. Right? Now, granted, I always say there's a woman does not want a man who can't do anything and can't provide, doesn't bring anything to the table. But it's some men who is women that's looking at the dude, they want him to bring the table, bring everything that come with it, bring everything that come, like the house, all of that. I mean, men are supposed to do, like, provide. But they think they just supposed to come to the table with nothing but good looks while the men provide every single thing. And when that happening, you looking like, nah, this ain't adding up. Their relationships seem to be built off a trauma bond to me. The brother went through a whole lot of trauma with the situation when being falsely accused of raping and assaulting a woman. And, he spent time in going to jail and juvenile and going to juvenile facility, so on and so forth. He seemed to be broken from the system. I'm sorry. And when a man is broken from the system, a lot of times they looking for love. And anyway, they looking for the love that they try to fill a void of love, especially when the system has used and abused them up. You're trying to find love in any way possible. And a lot of times they looking for it from the most beautiful woman in the world, right? Because they want to have all the finest women. A lot of men are visual beings. A lot of times we want the finest woman in the world, the finest woman you could ever see in your life. But just because a woman is fine don't mean she good for you. Just because a woman is fine don't mean she's a great woman. So you always hear the saying, the old cliche, just because everything that glitters isn't gold. Seriously, woman could look like a goddamn golden apple on the inside. She rotten as hell. Look like a golden apple on the outside, but in the inside she rotten as hell. You gotta be weird. Like, just like good looks does not mean, she's a quality woman. She's a woman of substance. Men got to choose a woman based off substance and quality and not just off mere attraction. There are women in this world who I look at and say, oh my gosh, she's fine. And you have all these lustful thoughts about her. But you be thinking in your head, and on God's green earth, in your right mind, this woman would not be faithful to you. This woman would not be with you for the right stuff. This woman would not even look your way if you didn't have this, that, and that. What DMX say? See if you got this. And this, to some cats, that N-word's the shit, okay? And that's all they fucking with. But these itches don't know. If the bitch ain't for real, then the itches don't go. All of that, right? Raymond Santana should have thought of that, and I think he was thinking, oh my God, he went through this trauma. Is this God rewarding me one day with this beautiful woman that I've always wanted, that I can dream of, a man that other men salivate over? She's with me and all of that. And you looking like, man, Raymond, she wouldn't have been with you for real if you didn't have that name or you didn't have that money going on or what happened with you. But some women, I'm not saying Deelishis did this. I'm just saying if everything he's saying is true. Some beautiful women try to capitalize off a man with a broken heart and a man who's been traumatized by certain situations, who've been broken by the system. Some women seek a guy who really isn't as attractive as them so that they can have a man who views them as a prize and puts them on 3 and 4 pedestals to be admired all day, every day. Because in his mind, he feels like, oh my God, this woman is the woman for me because I would never get a woman like this ever. This is my first time having a woman. Look, my son just woke up. He listening to me. Some men be like, this is the first time I could ever get a woman like this. I need her, 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 right? And that's the situation, man. He felt like, hey, I need this type of woman. I need this woman. He got her and he was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is amazing. Here, man, let daddy make the video, baby. He felt like, oh my God, I never got a woman like this. When I get her, I'm just going to do everything I can to keep her, because he's just so amazed and so shocked he was able to pull a woman of this stature. You know what I mean? And a lot of women know that. So they prey on those type of things, man. And look, I'm looking at Deelishis. She out here looking like a whole Latina. She ain't even looking like a black woman no more. Raymond thinking, oh my God, he won, he got the prize. You got to figure out, use a give of discernment to see if this woman really, really likes you. Is this woman for you? You know what I mean? But some men, again, some women know men, some men are vulnerable to the fact they got a fine woman that they feel like they wanted all their life, that they never really could get on the, and Raymond's not a bad looking guy at all, but you know, he's not a overly in shape man, and she is super trying to get it, well, she got her body done and all of that, but you know, she got a certain type of look to her that, you know, she look like she probably want professional athletes and, you know, cut up rappers and all that type of stuff. And he is not of that ilk. And so he got her and he probably like, oh my God, this is a woman of my dreams. And they let that play into their whole psyche. And now they do, oh my God, I got the woman of my dreams. Yes, yes, yes. Not realizing this woman is not right for you. You know what I mean? You got to go for a woman who you know would be with you if you didn't have the bread, if you wasn't up in life. And that's not what Raymond Santana did. He went for a woman who probably would not be trying to fool with him like that if he didn't have that certain status, man. And again, he said he was getting cheated on, used, and manipulated. And brother, unfortunately, that's what happens when some women feel like, hey, you are just happy to be with them and they can just do whatever they can do. You know what I mean? You just so happy and grateful that you're so happy and grateful that this woman is looking at you as a mate or as a husband and all of that, and you just so eager and just praising God to have this woman that's just so fine. You can praise, you can thank God for the woman, for having a good woman of substance, of quality, but just simply praising God for having a fine woman. If she knowing that, you just happy she fine, and you just happy you got something you can have on your arm that looks like a trophy for you. This is your badge of honor. You can show to other men and say, look, y'all, look what I got. Look this fine ass woman that I got, man. Nah, man. Furthermore, I'm really not taking no woman serious who was tonguing down Flavor Flav on TV. Because what the fuck was going on that you tonguing Flav down? Okay? You tonguing down Flav. I told y'all, if I was a father and I saw my daughter on Flavor of Love, I'm thinking, what the hell I did wrong for my baby girl to think she got to tongue down Flavor Flav in order to succeed in life, in order to achieve her wildest dreams. Obviously, I did something wrong, okay? But yeah, man, I'm like, Raymond, you and Deelishis wouldn't be together in any other instance. Brother, you ain't never think she was in it for the wrong thing? You just thought I don't know. And again, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of it. I don't know if he's telling the truth. But men got to start they got to choose a woman based off substance and quality. Is she a mate who won't disrespect you, who won't have you out here looking crazy, who won't have you out here just looking foolish for even choosing her, right? Is she a woman who's going to represent you in the right fashion? Your woman is an extension of you. Can you trust that woman if you're not in her presence? She won't be out here trying to get other men's numbers. She won't be taking numbers. She won't be smiling all flirting with men. She won't be trying to freak on other men from time to time. You got to be able to feel like, hey, man, this woman is a woman who's a loyal woman. Not just, there's a lot of men, their only requirement is that she fine and she can freak good. That's it. And now, bro, you got to think with more than just your penis. You got to think with the head up top, too, man. You got to see, you know, to make the right decision. I'm sorry, baby, talking like this. But anyway, yeah. You got to be able to make the right decision and use discernment to see if this is the woman for you, man. Machiavelli Mills TV, I'm out. Peace.